Vaccine debate is continuing to play out in states all across the country. In California, there's major concern over a new bill that would allow preteens to get vaccinated without their parents' consent. Enter the Unity Project, a movement against forcing children to get vaccinated from COVID-19. Joining us right now, two moms who are actively working to combat COVID mandates. Laura Sextro is the Chief Executive Officer of the Unity Project, and Parisa Fishback is the president. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
I'm really excited to talk to you. I have a question, considering that there are a lot of voices in this conversation. Have you found that you're getting the airtime you believe you would need to spread this message of concern that there are a lot of parents who are opposed to vaccine mandates for their kids?
No. Thank you for asking. And it's unfortunate because you would think as responsible journalists, you would want information on both sides. And especially for something so incredibly important that affects everyone's health, especially children, not to mention, you know, our freedoms in this country. So we appreciate the time that we're getting with you this morning. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a conversation that we hear about, we'll see on Twitter, but there are a lot of parents who are concerned about the mRNA vaccines. I see it all the time online. I don't necessarily hear a lot of data being proposed, but this bill, I have to ask you about this considered bill would allow children as young as 12 years old to get the shot without ever telling their parents. Their parents would not need to know. What would you say to teenagers? What would you say to legislators about why this is such a concern to you?
Well, it's a tremendous concern considering I think it's a mechanism that's being used to usurp the parents' rights. It's clear that parents in the state of California, the United States, and really globally are very concerned about this virus and, about this vaccine. The virus itself presents statistically zero risk to these children. We also know that children are essentially non-vectors of transmission. And so this is a mechanism that's being used to usurp parents' rights in order to get children vaccinated. And I find it to be astonishing that you would give a 12-year-old the ability to make a decision that can potentially impact irrevocably their life forever.
And obviously this goes to speak to other choices that children can make in the state of California without their parents' consent. I immediately thought about birth control for teenagers without their parents' consent. Who are the people that you represent? You brought all of the groups together that needed to coalesce. There was just a bunch of different groups fighting vaccine mandates. You decided to be an umbrella, but are you nonpartisan? Are there Democrats and Republicans among your group, or is it one side or the other, or is it diverse?
Case in point, I'm a Democrat. Laura is a Republican, and this is 100% a nonpartisan movement. First and foremost, we're parents. Second, we're Americans, freedom-loving Americans. And it had nothing to do with our political preference, race, creed, religion, none of that. At the point that you have a proposed mandate to force vaccination on anyone, let alone children, that is a common binding ground for everyone on every side of every aisle. And we found that in the state of not only California, but the entire nation. And we are now affiliated with groups across the world. This is definitely a common ground, and Unity Project is attempting to be a conduit for all of those organizations globally so that we can rise up, have our power in numbers with a unified voice.
I do have one more question for you, because I know that vaccine mandates are affecting children's opportunity to participate in certain sports and social engagement with other students, just like people who are saying they will not comply with vaccine mandates for a company and maybe losing their job. What are you telling parents to do? Apparently, you're telling people not to comply with the mandate in California?
Absolutely. The reality is, unfortunately, in the state of California, where parents are being put in a position where they have to choose between having their children engage in basic developmental milestones such as school and sporting events and things that are very, very important in a child's life developmentally, socially. And their parents are being put in a choice between choosing between that or getting their children injected with a drug that is still experimental and has known and verifiable risks of vaccine injury, as well as, in some sad cases, vaccine mortality.
And what we promote and propose to parents and everyone is do not comply. You have every legal right as an American to not comply with unlawful laws. And as Martin Luther King said it, you have a duty to not comply with unlawful laws. And these proposed mandates are, in fact, unconstitutional by virtue of federal constitution and state constitutions across this nation. So we are hoping that parents hold the line for the safety of their children, especially when children are not at risk of the underlying virus anyways. It is all risk to take the vaccine and no benefit.
There are a lot of people who would disagree with what you just said and even take umbrage because of the science that the CDC, Dr. Fauci himself has proposed, and the fact that the majority of Americans have decided that it is safe to get vaccinated. As we look at all of the percentages of people who have already received both doses and been boosted. But I know that a lot of people are passionate about this, and a lot of people are passionate about their kids,
right,
as they should be. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we did reach out to California State Senator Scott Weiner, who has introduced this bill. His statement to NewsNation reads in part, giving young people the autonomy to receive life-saving vaccines regardless of their parents' beliefs or work schedules is essential for their physical and mental health. It continues, it's unconscionable for teens to be blocked from the vaccine because a parent either refuses or cannot take their child to a vaccination site, end quote. Obviously a controversial topic and one that will continue to be a debate across the country. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.